Picture this. It's 4 a.m. on a cold Tuesday morning in Los Angeles. While millions of people are fast asleep, wrapped in their warm beds, dreaming of success they'll never achieve, one man is already 2 hours into his workout. His name is Kobe Bryant. The sweat is pouring down his face as he practices the same shot he's made 10,000 times before. His teammates won't arrive for another 4 hours. The cameras aren't rolling. There are no fans cheering. No endorsement deals being negotiated. Just a man, a basketball, and an unshakable commitment to discipline. By the time his teammates stumbled into practice, still wiping sleep from their eyes, Kobe had already completed a full workout, studied game film, and mentally prepared for the day ahead. This wasn't a one-time thing. This was every single day for 20 years. While others made excuses, Kobe made history. While others sought comfort, Kobe sought greatness. While others surrendered to their impulses, Kobe mastered himself. And when Kobe retired, he didn't just walk away as one of the greatest basketball players of all time. He won an Academy Award. He built a multimedia empire. He became a devoted father and husband. Because discipline isn't just about basketball. It's about everything. It's about life itself. Now let me ask you a question that will determine the entire trajectory of your existence. What separates those who achieve legendary lives from those who live in eternal regret? What's the difference between people who build empires and those who can't even build a morning routine? What distinguishes the few who create lasting wealth, incredible relationships, and unshakable confidence from the many who scroll through social media, wondering where their life went wrong? The answer isn't talent. It's not luck. It's not connections or circumstances. The answer is discipline. And if you can't master yourself, the world will master you. Right now, as you're listening to this, you're being controlled. Your phone is controlling your attention. Social media algorithms are controlling your emotions. Marketing companies are controlling your desires. Your past failures are controlling your self-belief. Your fears are controlling your actions. And worst of all, your impulses are controlling your destiny. Think about yesterday. How many times did you check your phone when you meant to focus on work? How many times did you say you'd exercise but ended up on the couch instead? How many times did you promise yourself you'd eat healthy but grabbed fast food because it was easier? How many times did you plan to go to bed early but stayed up scrolling until midnight? These aren't small decisions. These are the building blocks of your entire life. And right now, you're not making them. They're being made for you by whatever impulse screams the loudest in the moment. Here's the brutal truth that nobody wants to tell you. The average person checks their phone 96 times per day. That's once every 10 minutes during waking hours. The average person spends over 7 hours a day staring at screens. The average person makes over 200 food-related decisions daily, and most of them are driven by emotion, not intention. The average person has less than $1,000 in savings and lives paycheck to paycheck, not because they don't earn enough, but because they can't control their spending impulses. This is what happens when you live without discipline. You become average. You become predictable. You become controllable. You become forgettable. But here's what's different about the next 90 minutes of your life. You're going to get a complete blueprint to build unshakable discipline. The kind of discipline that lets you wake up at 5 a.m. not because you have to, but because you want to. The kind that lets you say no to distractions that derail others. The kind that builds wealth while others spend everything they earn. The kind that creates the body, mind, and life you actually want instead of settling for whatever happens to you. This isn't motivational fluff. This isn't feel-good nonsense that fades by tomorrow morning. This is a systematic approach to self-mastery based on thousands of years of human wisdom, modern psychology, and the real-world examples of history's most disciplined achievers. The framework comes from Ryan Holiday's brilliant book, Discipline is Destiny, part of his four-book series on the cardinal virtues of Stoicism. Holiday isn't some academic theorist. He's advised everyone from professional athletes to Fortune 500 CEOs. He's studied the discipline practices of everyone from Roman emperors to modern entrepreneurs. And he's distilled it all into a practical system that anyone can use. But this isn't just about waking up at 5 a.m. or doing 100 push-ups. This is about mastering yourself in every domain that matters. Your body, so you have the energy and vitality to pursue your dreams. Your mind, so you can focus on what matters and ignore what doesn't. Your character, so you can sleep peacefully knowing you did the right thing even when no one was watching. Here's the core truth that will change everything. Discipline is freedom. Without it, you're a prisoner. A prisoner to your emotions. A prisoner to your environment. A prisoner to other people's agendas. A prisoner to your past mistakes and future fears. But with discipline, you become the author of your own story. You become the CEO of your own life. You become unstoppable. We're going to explore discipline through three fundamental pillars. First, the discipline of the body, because you cannot control your life if you cannot control your physical habits. Second, the discipline of the mind, because mental mastery is the gatekeeper to every form of success. And third, the discipline of the soul, because integrity and character are what separate temporary achievement from lasting greatness. By the end of this journey, you'll have a complete operating system for self-discipline. You'll know exactly how to build habits that stick, break patterns that hurt you, and create the kind of momentum that makes success inevitable. You'll understand why some people seem to have infinite willpower while others can't resist a donut. You'll learn the secrets that separate those who dream from those who achieve. But most importantly, you'll discover that discipline isn't punishment. It's not about suffering or deprivation. It's about having the freedom to choose your life instead of having your life choose you. It's about becoming someone you respect instead of someone you tolerate. It's about building a life so good that you don't need to escape from it. So here's my challenge to you right now. For the next 90 minutes, give me your complete attention. Don't check your phone. Don't multitask. Don't let your mind wander to your problems or your to-do list. Practice discipline right now by choosing to focus completely on this message. Because if you can't discipline yourself to pay attention for 90 minutes, how can you expect to discipline yourself to transform your entire life? The person you could become is waiting on the other side of discipline. Let's go find them. Part 1. Discipline of the body. Your body is your life's vehicle. And right now, most of you are trying to drive a Ferrari with the engine of a broken-down Honda Civic. You're wondering why you can't think clearly, why you can't focus, why you can't follow through on your commitments. But you're running on 3 hours of sleep, a diet of processed junk, and you haven't moved your body in weeks. Here's what nobody tells you about willpower. It's not a character trait. It's a physical resource. And if your body is depleted, your willpower doesn't exist. You can have all the motivation in the world, but if your physiology is broken, your psychology will be broken too. Think about the last time you tried to eat healthy after a terrible night's sleep. Think about the last time you tried to focus on important work when you were hungry and dehydrated. Think about the last time you tried to be patient with your family when you felt like garbage physically. It's impossible. Your body controls your mind more than your mind controls your body. This is why every single person who has achieved lasting success in any field has started with their body. not because they're vain or obsessed with appearance, but because they understand that physical discipline is the foundation for every other form of discipline. Let's start with sleep, the superpower you're probably ignoring. Napoleon Bonaparte was famous for saying he only needed 4 hours of sleep per night. He was also famous for making increasingly erratic decisions that eventually led to his defeat and exile. Coincidence? Absolutely not. When you don't get enough quality sleep, your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for decision-making and self-control, essentially goes offline. You become impulsive. You become emotional. You become weak. It's not a character flaw. It's biology. Sleep debt is like financial debt. You can ignore it for a while, but eventually, it will destroy everything you've built. Every night you get less than 7 hours of quality sleep. You're borrowing against your future self. You're making tomorrow harder. You're sabotaging your own goals. But here's what happens when you prioritize sleep like your life depends on it. Because it does. Your focus becomes laser sharp. Your emotional regulation improves dramatically. Your physical recovery accelerates. Your immune system strengthens. Your creativity explodes. Your decision-making becomes effortless. Arianna Huffington built a media empire, but she was doing it on 2 hours of sleep per night until she literally collapsed from exhaustion and broke her cheekbone on her desk. That moment changed everything. She started treating sleep as her secret weapon instead of her enemy. Her productivity didn't decrease. It multiplied. Her stress levels plummeted. Her relationships improved. Her business grew faster than ever. Elite performers don't stay up late. They go to bed early because they understand that tomorrow's success is built on tonight's sleep. Here are the non-negotiable rules that will transform your sleep and therefore your life. First, same bedtime and wake time every single day, including weekends. Your body craves consistency. When you constantly change your sleep schedule, you're essentially giving yourself jet lag every few days. Second, no screens for at least 1 hour before bed. The blue light from your phone, computer, and TV tells your brain it's daytime. It suppresses melatonin production and makes quality sleep impossible. Third, your bedroom is a cave. Dark, cool, and quiet. Blackout curtains aren't optional. A cool temperature around 65 degrees isn't optional. Silence or white noise isn't optional. Fourth, no caffeine after 2 p.m. Caffeine has a half-life of 6 hours. If you drink coffee at 4 p.m., half of it is still in your system at 10 p.m., sabotaging your sleep quality. Fifth, create a wind-down ritual. Read a book. Take a hot bath. Practice gentle stretching. Meditate. Journal. Do something that signals to your body and mind that it's time to transition from the stress of the day to the restoration of the night. This isn't about perfection. This is about creating conditions where discipline becomes automatic instead of forced. Now let's talk about fitness, but not the way most people think about it. Most people think fitness is about looking good. That's a nice side effect, but it's not the real prize. The real prize is that training your body trains your mind to be comfortable with discomfort. Every time you choose to work out when you don't feel like it, you're building the muscle of self-discipline. Every time you push through when your body wants to quit, you're teaching your brain that you can do hard things. Every time you prioritize long-term health over short-term comfort, you're rewiring your decision-making patterns. David Goggins was 300 pounds, working as an exterminator, going nowhere in life. He decided to become a Navy SEAL. The physical transformation was dramatic, but the mental transformation was revolutionary. He learned that he could do things he never thought possible. He learned that his mind was lying to him about his limits. He learned that discipline in one area creates discipline in every area. You don't need to become David Goggins, but you need to understand the principle. When you commit to moving your body every single day, regardless of how you feel, you're not just building muscle and burning fat. You're building the kind of mental strength that makes everything else in life easier. The specific type of exercise doesn't matter as much as the consistency. Walk for 30 minutes every day. Do 20 push-ups every morning. Lift weights 3 times per week. Take a yoga class. Ride a bike. Dance. Swim. Play a sport. The key is non-negotiable consistency. Here's a simple framework. Start with something so easy you can't fail. If you haven't exercised in years, don't commit to running 5 miles every day. Commit to putting on your workout clothes every day. That's it. Once that becomes automatic, add 5 minutes of walking, then 10 minutes, then 15. Build momentum, not intensity. And here's the secret weapon that most people are too scared to try: cold exposure. Take a cold shower every morning for just 60 seconds. It sounds terrible because it is terrible. That's exactly the point. You start every single day by voluntarily doing something uncomfortable, something your body doesn't want to do, something your mind will resist. But when you step out of that cold shower, you feel invincible. You've already conquered discomfort before most people have even woken up. You've proven to yourself that you can do things you don't want to do. You've activated your sympathetic nervous system and flooded your body with norepinephrine, giving you natural energy and focus that lasts for hours. Wim Hof, the Iceman, has shown that cold exposure doesn't just build mental toughness. It strengthens your immune system, reduces inflammation, improves recovery, and increases brown fat production, which burns calories even at rest. But the real benefit is psychological. You become someone who doesn't avoid discomfort. You become someone who seeks it out as a tool for growth. Now let's address the elephant in the room: nutrition. You cannot out-discipline a terrible diet. If you're eating processed junk, refined sugar, and artificial chemicals, your brain chemistry is working against you. You're creating blood sugar spikes and crashes that make willpower impossible. Sugar is not just empty calories. It's a drug. It hijacks your dopamine receptors the same way cocaine does. It creates cravings that feel like physical withdrawal. It causes inflammation in your brain that impairs decision-making. It creates energy crashes that make you reach for more sugar, creating an endless cycle of addiction. But here's the good news. You can reset your relationship with food in just 2 weeks. When you eliminate processed foods and eat real, whole foods, your taste buds adapt. Your energy stabilizes. Your cravings disappear. Your mental clarity improves dramatically. You don't need a complicated diet plan. You need simple rules that you follow consistently. Eat real food that your great-grandmother would recognize. Avoid anything with more than 5 ingredients. Drink water instead of sugary drinks. Eat protein with every meal to stabilize blood sugar. Fill half your plate with vegetables. Stop eating when you're 80% full, not when you're stuffed. Meal prep isn't optional if you're serious about discipline. When you're hungry and tired, you will make bad decisions. But when healthy meals are already prepared and waiting for you, good decisions become automatic. Spend 2 hours on Sunday preparing meals for the week. It will save you 10 hours of poor choices and bad outcomes. Intermittent fasting is another powerful tool for building discipline. When you can control when you eat, you can control anything. Start with a 12-hour eating window. If you eat dinner at 7 p.m., don't eat again until 7 a.m. Once that becomes easy, try 16 hours of fasting with an 8-hour eating window. You're not just improving your metabolism and cellular repair. You're proving to yourself that you can delay gratification and control your impulses. But physical discipline isn't just about what you do. It's about the environment you create. Your environment will always be stronger than your willpower. If you keep junk food in your house, you will eat it. If you keep your workout clothes hidden in the closet, you won't exercise. If you keep your phone next to your bed, you won't sleep well. Design your environment to make good choices automatic and bad choices difficult. Put your workout clothes next to your bed so they're the first thing you see in the morning. Keep healthy snacks visible and junk food out of sight. Charge your phone in a different room so it's not the first and last thing you interact with every day. The most disciplined people aren't constantly fighting temptation. They've eliminated temptation from their environment. They've made discipline the path of least resistance. Here's what I want you to understand about building physical discipline. It's not about becoming a fitness model or an elite athlete. This self-trust becomes the foundation for every other area of your life. When you know you can control your body, you start believing you can control your career, your relationships, your finances, your emotions. Physical discipline is the gateway drug to total life mastery. The ancient Stoics understood this. They practiced what they called ascesis, voluntary hardship. They would sleep on hard floors, eat simple foods, take cold baths, and walk long distances not because they had to, but because they chose to. They were building their capacity to handle whatever life threw at them. Marcus Aurelius was the most powerful man in the world, but he still woke up early every day to exercise and train. He still ate simple foods and lived modestly. He understood that external power means nothing without internal discipline. When you master your body, you wake up every day with a full tank of energy, unshakable confidence, and the physical vitality to pursue any goal you set. You stop making excuses because you've eliminated the physical reasons for those excuses. You stop feeling tired and sluggish because you've optimized your sleep, nutrition, and movement. You stop avoiding challenges because you've trained your body to be comfortable with discomfort. This is what discipline of the body really means. It's not about perfection. It's about consistency. It's not about punishment. It's about preparation. It's not about looking good for others. It's about feeling powerful from the inside out. Your body is the foundation. Everything else is built on top of it. Get this right, and everything else becomes possible. Get this wrong, and nothing else matters. Part 2. Discipline of the mind. Your mind is under attack. Right now, as you're listening to this, there are billion-dollar companies using teams of neuroscientists and behavioral psychologists to hijack your attention, manipulate your emotions, and control your behavior. They know exactly which colors, sounds, and notifications will trigger your dopamine receptors. They know exactly how to make you addicted to their products. And they're winning. The average person's attention span has dropped from 12 seconds in 2000 to 8 seconds today. A goldfish has a longer attention span than most humans. Your mind has been shattered into fragments, constantly jumping from one distraction to another, never fully present, never fully focused, never fully in control. But here's what's even worse than external distractions: internal distractions. The voice in your head that tells you you're not good enough. The anxiety about future problems that may never happen. The regret about past mistakes you can't change. The constant comparison to other people's highlight reels. The endless loop of negative thoughts that drain your energy and sabotage your progress. Mental discipline isn't about being a robot. It's about being the director of your own mind instead of being a victim of it. It's about choosing your thoughts instead of letting your thoughts choose you. It's about focusing your attention like a laser instead of scattering it like a flashlight. Let's start with the war on distraction, Because if you can't win this battle, you can't win any battle. Your attention is your most valuable resource. It's more valuable than your time, more valuable than your money, more valuable than your connections. Because wherever your attention goes, your life follows. Think about yesterday. How many hours did you spend in deep, focused work on your most important goals? Not multitasking, not half-focused while checking messages, completely absorbed in meaningful progress. For most people, the answer is less than 1 hour. Some days, it's 0. Now think about how many hours you spent consuming other people's content. Scrolling social media, watching videos, reading news articles, listening to podcasts while doing other things. For most people, it's more than 4 hours per day. You're spending 4 times more energy consuming than creating. You're spending 4 times more attention on other people's priorities than your own. This isn't entertainment. This is mental slavery. You've given control of your mind to algorithms designed to keep you distracted, anxious, and constantly craving more stimulation. You've traded your ability to think deeply for the illusion of being informed and connected. But here's the neuroscience that will change everything. Your brain physically changes based on what you repeatedly focus on. When you constantly switch between tasks, you're training your brain to be distractible. When you constantly seek novel stimulation, you're training your brain to be restless. When you constantly react to notifications, you're training your brain to be reactive instead of proactive. But when you practice sustained focus, you're literally growing the parts of your brain responsible for attention and self-control. When you regularly engage in deep work, you're increasing your brain's capacity for complex thinking. When you consistently choose long-term rewards over short-term distractions, you're strengthening your prefrontal cortex. The solution is what I call an attention diet. Here's your new information consumption protocol. First, no news in the morning. Your brain is most neuroplastic in the first few hours after waking. Don't waste this precious time filling your mind with other people's problems and political outrage. Use it for creative work, learning, or planning your day. Second, batch your information consumption. Instead of checking email and messages throughout the day, check them at specific times. Maybe 10 a.m., 2 p.m., and 5 p.m. Turn off all notifications except for actual emergencies. Your phone should serve you, not interrupt you. Third, curate your inputs ruthlessly. Unfollow accounts that make you feel anxious, angry, or inadequate. Stop reading news that you can't act on. Stop consuming content that's designed to trigger strong emotions without providing practical value. Feed your mind like you feed your body, with intention and quality. Fourth, create sacred focus blocks. Pick your most important task each day and protect 2 to 4 hours of uninterrupted time to work on it. Turn off your phone. Close your browser. Work in a different location if necessary. Treat these focus blocks like non-negotiable appointments with your future self. The power of saying no is the foundation of mental discipline. Warren Buffett once said that the difference between successful people and really successful people is that really successful people say no to almost everything. This isn't because they're antisocial or selfish. It's because they understand that every yes to something unimportant is a no to something important. Your attention is finite. Your energy is finite. Your time is finite. If you don't protect these resources, other people will gladly consume them for their own benefit. Every meeting you attend that doesn't add value to your life is time stolen from your goals. Every social obligation you accept out of guilt is energy taken away from your priorities. Every favor you do for others when you haven't taken care of yourself first is a form of self-sabotage. Learning to say no isn't mean. It's necessary, and it's a skill that must be practiced. Start with small things. Say no to the TV show you don't really want to watch. Say no to the social event you're attending out of obligation. Say no to the project that doesn't align with your goals. Here's the language that makes saying no easier. I appreciate you thinking of me, but I can't commit to that right now. That sounds interesting, but it's not aligned with my current priorities. I'd love to help, but I don't have the bandwidth to give it the attention it deserves. You don't need to justify your no. You don't need to provide detailed explanations. You don't need to suggest alternatives. A simple, respectful no is complete. But the most important no is the one you say to yourself. No to the voice that tells you to check social media when you should be working. No to the impulse to stay up late when you should be sleeping. No to the temptation to skip your workout when you should be exercising. No to the urge to eat junk food when you should be nourishing your body. This brings us to emotional self-mastery, the skill that separates mature leaders from reactive children. Your emotions are not facts. They're signals. And like any signal, you can choose how to respond to them. The ancient Stoics had a practice they called the discipline of desire. When they felt a strong emotion, they would pause and ask themselves, is this emotion helpful right now? Is it based on facts or assumptions? What would the wisest version of myself do in this situation? Abraham Lincoln was famous for writing hot letters when he was angry or frustrated. He would pour all of his emotions on a paper, writing exactly what he wanted to say to whoever had upset him. But then he would put the letter in his desk drawer and never send it. By the next day, his emotions had cooled, and he could respond with wisdom instead of reactivity. This is the power of the 2-minute rule for emotional impulses. When you feel a strong emotion, especially a negative one, commit to waiting at least 2 minutes before taking any action. Don't send the angry email. Don't make the defensive phone call. Don't post the sarcastic comment. Just breathe and wait. In those 2 minutes, ask yourself these questions. Will this matter in 5 years? Am I responding to reality or my interpretation of reality? What outcome do I actually want here? What would someone I respect do in this situation? Most of the time, you'll realize that your initial emotional response would have made the situation worse, not better. You'll find a way to respond that's more effective and less damaging to your relationships and reputation. But emotional discipline isn't just about managing negative emotions. It's also about not being controlled by positive emotions. Excitement can make you overcommit. Optimism can make you underestimate risks. Confidence can make you stop preparing. Love can make you ignore red flags. The goal isn't to eliminate emotions. Emotions provide valuable information about what matters to you. The goal is to feel your emotions without being controlled by them. To use them as data points in your decision-making process, not as the only factor. This requires what psychologists call metacognition, thinking about your thinking. Throughout the day, pause and ask yourself, what am I feeling right now? What thoughts are going through my mind? Are these thoughts helping me or hurting me? What do I need to focus on right now? Mental discipline also means thinking like a millionaire, even if you're not one yet. Wealthy people and poor people don't just have different amounts of money. They have different mental models, different ways of processing information, different automatic thought patterns. Poor people think about what they can afford. Rich people think about what they can earn. Poor people focus on saving money. Rich people focus on making money. Poor people think in terms of expenses. Rich people think in terms of investments. Poor people ask, how much does it cost? Rich people ask, what's the return on investment? These aren't just different approaches to money. They're different approaches to life. One mindset looks for reasons why things won't work. The other looks for ways to make things work. One focuses on problems. The other focuses on solutions. One is driven by fear. The other is driven by opportunity. You can start thinking like a millionaire today, regardless of your current bank account balance. Before making any decision, ask yourself, how would the most successful version of myself handle this situation? What would someone who's already achieved my goals do here? What's the long-term consequence of this choice? This future self-visualization is one of the most powerful tools for mental discipline. Most people make decisions based on how they feel in the moment. Disciplined people make decisions based on how those choices will affect their future self. Imagine yourself 5 years from now. What does that person look like? How do they spend their time? What habits do they have? What skills have they developed? What relationships have they built? What problems have they solved? Now ask yourself, would the future me respect the choice I'm about to make right now? Would they thank me for this decision, or would they wish I had chosen differently? This isn't just wishful thinking. Neuroscience research shows that when you vividly imagine your future self, your brain treats it more like your current self and less like a stranger. This makes you more likely to make decisions that benefit your long-term goals instead of just your short-term desires. The quality of your life is determined by the quality of your inner dialogue. The conversation you have with yourself all day long is programming your subconscious mind and determining your actions. If you're constantly telling yourself that you're not good enough, not smart enough, not disciplined enough, then you're training your brain to look for evidence that supports those beliefs. But you can reprogram your inner dialogue. You can choose the voice in your head instead of letting it choose you. This starts with awareness. Notice what you're telling yourself throughout the day. Are you your own best friend or your own worst enemy? Are you encouraging yourself or discouraging yourself? Are you focusing on possibilities or limitations? When you catch yourself engaging in negative self-talk, interrupt the pattern. Don't just ignore it or suppress it. Replace it with something more useful. Instead of, I'm terrible at this, try, I'm learning this. Instead of, I always fail, try, I haven't succeeded yet. Instead of, I can't do this, try, I can figure this out. This isn't positive thinking or self-deception. This is practical thinking. It's choosing language that opens up possibilities instead of shutting them down. It's training your brain to look for solutions instead of dwelling on problems. Mental toughness isn't about being emotionless or fearless. It's about reframing discomfort as information instead of as an emergency. When you feel resistance, that's not a signal to quit. That's a signal that you're growing. When you feel uncomfortable, that's not a sign that something's wrong. That's a sign that you're outside your comfort zone, which is exactly where growth happens. Champions in every field have learned to associate discomfort with progress. They've trained their brains to interpret challenge as opportunity, pressure as privilege, and obstacles as stepping stones. They don't avoid difficult situations. They seek them out because they know that's where they'll develop the skills and strength they need to succeed. You can develop this same mental reframe. When you're tempted to avoid a difficult conversation, remind yourself that this is how you build communication skills. When you're scared to take on a challenging project, remind yourself that this is how you expand your capabilities. When you're tired and want to skip your workout, remind yourself that this is how you build mental toughness. The phrase I want you to tattoo on your brain is this: this is exactly what I need right now. Not what you want, but what you need. When you're facing rejection, tell yourself, this is exactly what I need right now to build resilience. When you're dealing with criticism, tell yourself, this is exactly what I need right now to improve. When you're struggling with a problem, Tell yourself, this is exactly what I need right now to develop problem-solving skills. Your mind is your most powerful tool. But like any tool, it must be sharpened regularly to remain effective. The practices we've discussed aren't one-time exercises. They're daily disciplines that compound over time. Every day you choose focus over distraction. You're strengthening your attention. Every day you choose wisdom over reactivity. You're building emotional intelligence. Every day you choose growth-minded thoughts over limiting beliefs. You're expanding what's possible for your life. Part 3. Discipline of the Soul. There's a story about a successful businessman who had everything he thought he wanted. A multi-million-dollar company, a beautiful home, expensive cars, designer clothes, respect from his peers. But late one night, alone in his office, he looked at himself in the reflection of his computer screen and realized he couldn't stand the person staring back at him. He had built his success on cutting corners, breaking promises, and stepping on others. He had chosen profit over principles, convenience over character, and winning over integrity. He had everything the world said would make him happy, but he felt empty inside, because he had gained the whole world but lost his soul. 6 months later, everything collapsed. A business partner exposed his unethical practices. Customers lost trust. Employees quit. His marriage fell apart. His friends abandoned him. The success he had built on a foundation of compromise crumbled like a house of cards. This is what happens when you have physical discipline and mental discipline, but you ignore the discipline of the soul. You might achieve temporary success, but it won't last. And even if it does last, it won't satisfy you. Because deep down, you know you're living a lie. Character is what you do when no one is watching. It's who you are when there's no external pressure to be good. It's the choices you make when you could get away with doing the wrong thing. And it's the foundation that determines whether your success will be temporary or permanent, shallow or meaningful, respected or resented. The discipline of the soul isn't about religion or spirituality, although it can include those things. It's about integrity. It's about doing the right thing even when it's hard, even when it costs you, even when no one will ever know. Why does character matter? Because everything else you build in life is built on top of it. Your reputation is built on character. Your relationships are built on character. Your self-respect is built on character. Your peace of mind is built on character. And when character is missing, everything else becomes unstable. Think about the people you most admire. I guarantee you they're not just successful. They're people of character. They keep their word. They treat others with respect. They take responsibility for their mistakes. They do the right thing even when it's inconvenient. You admire them not just for what they achieved, but for how they achieved it. Now think about people you've lost respect for. Maybe they were talented. Maybe they were successful. But somewhere along the way, they compromised their integrity. They lied. They cheated. They betrayed someone's trust. They threw others under the bus to save themselves. And no matter what else they accomplish, you can never look at them the same way again. This is the power of character. It's the invisible force that determines whether people trust you, follow you, support you, and respect you. It's what separates leaders from managers, legends from celebrities, and genuine success from empty achievement. But here's what most people don't understand about character. It's not built in big moments. It's built in small, private decisions that no one else sees. It's returning the extra change when the cashier makes a mistake. It's keeping a promise even when it becomes inconvenient. It's telling the truth even when a lie would be easier. It's working hard even when no one is checking up on you. Every time you choose integrity over convenience, you're making a deposit in your character account. Every time you choose compromise over principles, you're making a withdrawal. And just like a financial account, you can't withdraw more than you've deposited without going into debt. Character debt is the most dangerous kind of debt because you can't declare bankruptcy on it. It follows you everywhere. It shows up in your relationships, your business dealings, your self-image, and your peace of mind. People can sense when someone lacks integrity, even if they can't put their finger on exactly why. This brings us to ego, the silent killer of discipline and destroyer of character. Ego is not confidence. Confidence is knowing you can handle whatever comes your way. Ego is believing you're better than whatever comes your way. Confidence is earned through preparation and achievement. Ego is unearned arrogance that makes you stop preparing and stop growing. Ego makes you overestimate your abilities and underestimate your challenges. It makes you stop listening to feedback because you think you already know everything. It makes you cut corners because you think rules don't apply to you. It makes you treat others poorly because you think you're superior to them. And ultimately, it makes you lose everything you've worked so hard to build. History is littered with people who had incredible talent and tremendous success until ego destroyed them. Athletes who stopped training because they thought they were unbeatable. Business leaders who stopped innovating because they thought they had figured everything out. Politicians who stopped serving their constituents because they thought they were above accountability. The Roman Empire produced many emperors, but most of them were destroyed by their own ego. They believed they were gods instead of servants. They believed they deserved absolute power instead of earning continued trust. They believed they were above the law instead of being bound by it. One by one, ego led them to make decisions that ultimately destroyed them and damaged the empire they were supposed to protect. But then there was Marcus Aurelius, one of the most powerful men who ever lived, who wrote in his private journal, "Remember that very little disturbs the calm mind. Remember that you are an actor in a play, which is as the author wants it to be." He never forgot that his position was temporary, his power was borrowed, and his job was to serve something greater than himself. Marcus Aurelius had every reason to let ego consume him. He had unlimited power, unlimited wealth, and the worship of millions of people. But every morning, he reminded himself that he was mortal, fallible, and accountable to history. He practiced humility not because he had to, but because he chose to. And because of that humility, he's remembered not just as a powerful ruler, but as a wise one. Ego is not your friend. It's the voice that tells you you're special when you should be staying humble. It's the voice that tells you you deserve success when you should be earning it. It's the voice that tells you rules don't apply to you when you should be following them more carefully than anyone else. The antidote to ego is radical self-awareness and constant learning. Always assume you know less than you think you know. Always assume you're more fallible than you think you are. Always assume you have more room for improvement than you think you do. Seek out criticism instead of avoiding it. Ask people to tell you what you're doing wrong instead of just what you're doing right. Study your failures more carefully than your successes. Surround yourself with people who will challenge you instead of people who will just agree with you. But discipline of the soul goes deeper than just avoiding ego. It's about discovering and serving your true purpose. Without purpose, discipline becomes meaningless suffering. Without purpose, you might develop incredible self-control, but you won't know what to do with it. Without purpose, you might achieve impressive goals, but you won't find fulfillment in them. Purpose is what makes discipline natural instead of forced. When you know why you're doing something, the how becomes easier. When you have a mission that's bigger than your momentary desires, saying no to distractions becomes automatic. When you're serving something greater than yourself, sacrifice doesn't feel like sacrifice anymore. Viktor Frankl survived the Nazi concentration camps and went on to develop logotherapy, a form of psychotherapy based on the idea that the primary human drive is the search for meaning. In the camps, he observed that the prisoners who survived weren't necessarily the strongest or the smartest. They were the ones who had a reason to live, a purpose that transcended their current suffering. Frankl wrote, "Those who have a why to live can bear with almost any how. When you have a compelling purpose, you can endure temporary discomfort. You can delay gratification. You can make sacrifices. You can maintain discipline even when motivation fades. Because you're not just working toward a goal, you're living out your values. Your purpose doesn't have to be saving the world or curing cancer. It can be raising children who become good people. It can be building a business that serves customers excellently. It can be creating art that brings beauty into the world. It can be teaching students who will go on to make a difference. It can be being the friend, spouse, or family member that others can always count on. The key is that your purpose must be bigger than your immediate self-interest. It must involve serving others, contributing to something meaningful, or making the world a little bit better than you found it. Because when your purpose is just about you, it's not big enough to sustain discipline through difficult times. This connects to integrity, which is the alignment between your values, your words, and your actions. Integrity isn't just about not lying or cheating. It's about being the same person in private that you are in public. It's about making decisions based on principles instead of convenience. It's about keeping promises to yourself as seriously as you keep promises to others. People with integrity don't need to remember their lies because they don't tell any. They don't need to manage their reputation because their character speaks for itself. They don't need to worry about being exposed because they have nothing to hide. They sleep peacefully at night because they know they've done the right thing, even when no one was watching. But integrity is costly. It means passing up opportunities that would compromise your values. It means having difficult conversations instead of avoiding conflict. It means admitting mistakes instead of making excuses. It means taking responsibility instead of blaming others. It means doing the hard work instead of looking for shortcuts. This is why integrity is rare. Most people want the benefits of being seen as trustworthy without paying the costs of actually being trustworthy. They want the reputation without the responsibility. They want others to have integrity so they can trust them, but they make exceptions for themselves when it's convenient. But here's what people with integrity understand. Every compromise makes the next compromise easier. Every time you bend your principles, you're training yourself to be flexible with your values. Every time you make an exception for yourself, you're weakening your own moral foundation. Conversely, every time you choose integrity over convenience, you're building what the Stoics called moral strength. You're proving to yourself that you can be trusted. You're building the kind of character that can handle greater challenges and greater opportunities. You're becoming someone that others want to follow, support, and be associated with. The discipline of integrity starts with small, private decisions. Don't take credit for work you didn't do. Don't blame others for mistakes you made. Don't make promises you can't keep. Don't speak badly about people behind their backs. Don't cheat on your taxes, your spouse, or your diet. Don't lie to others, and especially don't lie to yourself. These might seem like small things, but character is built on small things. Every decision is a vote for the kind of person you want to become. Every choice is either building your integrity or eroding it. There are no neutral choices when it comes to character. This leads us to humility, the virtue that keeps all other virtues in balance. Humility isn't thinking less of yourself. It's thinking of yourself less. It's recognizing that your talents are gifts to be stewarded, not trophies to be displayed. It's understanding that your success is built on the contributions of countless others, not just your own effort. Humility keeps you teachable when success might make you arrogant. It keeps you grateful when abundance might make you entitled. It keeps you connected to others when achievement might make you isolated. It keeps you grounded when praise might make you inflated. But humility also makes you more effective. Humble leaders inspire loyalty because people know they won't take all the credit. Humble learners grow faster because they're open to feedback. Humble servants create more value because they focus on contribution instead of recognition. The ancient Stoics practiced memento mori, remembering death, not because they were morbid or depressed, but because remembering our mortality keeps us humble and focused on what truly matters. When you remember that your time is limited, you stop wasting it on petty arguments and meaningless pursuits. When you remember that you'll be forgotten eventually, you stop worrying so much about what others think of you. When you remember that you can't take anything with you, you focus on building character instead of just accumulating possessions. Steve Jobs, in his famous Stanford commencement speech, said, "Remembering that you are going to die is the best way I know to avoid the trap of thinking you have something to lose. You are already naked. There is no reason not to follow your heart." This isn't about becoming morbid. It's about gaining perspective. When you truly internalize the temporary nature of everything external, you start focusing on what's eternal. The impact you have on others, the character you build, the love you give and receive, the principles you stand for. Service to something greater than yourself is the final component of soul discipline. When your life is just about you, it becomes unbearably small. When your goals are just about your own comfort, success, and happiness, you'll never feel truly fulfilled. But when you dedicate your life to serving others, to solving meaningful problems, to making a positive difference, your life takes on a weight and significance that transcends your individual existence. This doesn't mean you have to become a missionary or work for a nonprofit. It means approaching whatever work you do with a service mindset. If you're a teacher, you're not just delivering curriculum. You're shaping young minds and changing lives. If you're a business owner, you're not just making profit. You're solving problems and creating value for customers. If you're a parent, you're not just raising children. You're preparing the next generation to make the world better. When you see your role as service instead of just personal advancement, everything changes. Your work becomes meaningful instead of just busy. Your relationships become about contribution instead of just consumption. Your success becomes about impact instead of just income. The most disciplined people in history weren't disciplined for their own sake. They were disciplined because they were serving something they believed was more important than their own comfort, convenience, or immediate gratification. They had a mission that made sacrifice worthwhile, a vision that made delayed gratification logical, and a calling that made hard work feel like privilege. Martin Luther King Jr. practiced incredible discipline not because he enjoyed suffering, but because he was serving the cause of civil rights. Mother Teresa maintained rigorous discipline not because she was naturally self-controlled, but because she was serving the poorest of the poor. Nelson Mandela endured decades of imprisonment with dignity not because it was easy, but because he was serving the cause of freedom and reconciliation. You don't have to change the world on the scale that these giants did. But you do need to find a cause, a mission, a purpose that's bigger than your own immediate self-interest. Because when you're serving something greater than yourself, discipline stops being a burden and becomes a privilege. Character is not built in a day. It's built through thousands of small decisions made over many years. It's built by choosing the right thing when the wrong thing would be easier. It's built by keeping your word when breaking it would be more convenient. It's built by treating others well when you have nothing to gain from it. It's built by working hard when no one is watching and giving credit when everyone is. But here's the beautiful thing about character. Once you build it, it becomes the foundation for everything else in your life. People trust you because they know you're reliable. Opportunities come to you because people know you'll handle them with integrity. Success sustains itself because it's built on solid principles instead of shifting circumstances. When you have character, you don't need to manage your reputation because your reputation manages itself. You don't need to remember your stories because they're all true. You don't need to look over your shoulder because you have nothing to hide. You don't need to worry about being found out because there's nothing to find. Most importantly, you can look at yourself in the mirror with genuine respect. You can go to sleep at night with a clear conscience. You can face challenges with confidence because you know you'll handle them with integrity. You can weather storms because your foundation is solid. This is the discipline of the soul, building a character so strong that external circumstances can't break it, so principled that temporary pressures can't bend it, so service-oriented that personal setbacks can't derail it, and so humble that success can't corrupt it. When you master the discipline of the soul, you don't just achieve success. You become someone worthy of success. You don't just reach your goals. You become someone others want to follow toward their goals. You don't just build wealth or fame or influence. You build a legacy that will outlast your lifetime. Part 4. Putting it all together. Now comes the most important part. Translating everything you've learned into a daily system that creates unstoppable momentum. Because knowledge without application is worthless. Understanding without implementation changes nothing. You can have all the insights in the world, but if you don't consistently apply them, you'll stay exactly where you are. The secret that separates those who transform their lives from those who just consume self-improvement content is this. They build systems that make discipline automatic instead of relying on motivation that comes and goes. Motivation is like the weather. Some days it's sunny and beautiful. Some days it's cloudy and depressing. Some days it's stormy and chaotic. If you depend on motivation to maintain your discipline, you'll be inconsistent at best and give up entirely at worst. But systems are like climate. They create consistent conditions regardless of daily variations. When you have systems in place, you don't worry about whether you feel like working out. You just work out because that's what you do at that time on that day. You don't debate whether you feel like eating healthy. You eat healthy because that's what you've prepared and planned for. You don't wonder whether you feel like focusing on your most important work. You focus because you've created an environment and schedule that makes focus automatic. This is the compound effect in action. Small, consistent actions don't just add up. They multiply. They create momentum that makes future actions easier. They build habits that reduce the mental energy required for good decisions. They create results that motivate even more consistent action. Imagine two people starting from the same place. Person A decides to improve by 1% every day. Person B decides to get worse by 1% every day. After 1 year, Person A is 37 times better than when they started. Person B is nearly at 0. The difference isn't dramatic in any single day, but it's life-changing over time. This is why consistency matters more than intensity. The person who works out for 20 minutes every day will be in better shape than the person who works out for 3 hours once a week. The person who reads for 15 minutes every day will be more knowledgeable than the person who reads for 8 hours once a month. The person who saves a small amount every day will be wealthier than the person who tries to save a large amount irregularly. Your self-discipline operating system needs to be built around this principle. It needs to make small, beneficial actions so automatic that you do them without thinking, and it needs to make harmful actions so difficult that you avoid them without willpower. Let's start with your morning routine, because how you start your day determines how you live your life. The first hour of your day is the most important hour because it sets the tone for everything that follows. If you start with intention, discipline, and focus, those qualities will carry through the rest of your day. If you start with distraction, reactivity, and chaos, those qualities will also carry through. Here's a morning routine that will transform your life if you implement it consistently. First, wake up at the same time every day, including weekends. Your body craves consistency, and irregular sleep patterns create constant jet lag that drains your energy and willpower. Second, don't check your phone for at least the first hour after waking. Your brain is most neuroplastic in the morning, which means it's most capable of learning and changing. Don't waste this precious time filling your mind with other people's problems, advertisements, and digital distractions. Use it for activities that align with your goals and values. Third, move your body immediately. This doesn't have to be an intense workout. It could be stretching, yoga, a walk around the block, or a few push-ups. The goal is to activate your body and create physical energy for the day ahead. Movement also releases endorphins and neurotransmitters that improve your mood and focus. Fourth, practice gratitude. Write down 3 things you're grateful for, or simply reflect on them mentally. This isn't just feel-good nonsense. Gratitude literally rewires your brain to notice positive aspects of your life, instead of just focusing on problems and deficiencies. It creates a positive emotional foundation for the day. Fifth, review your priorities and plan your day. Look at your most important goals and identify the one thing that would make the biggest difference if you accomplished it today. Schedule specific time blocks for this priority work and protect those blocks like sacred appointments. Sixth, engage in learning or creative work during your peak mental energy. Whether it's reading, writing, studying, planning, or working on your most challenging project, use your freshest mental state for your most important mental work. This entire routine can take anywhere from 30 minutes to 2 hours, depending on how much time you have and what your priorities are. The key is consistency, not perfection. It's better to do a shorter version every day than a longer version sporadically. But a morning routine is just the beginning. You need to structure your entire day around focused work blocks, strategic breaks, and evening preparation for the next day. During your workday, practice what researchers call monotasking instead of multitasking. Contrary to popular belief, multitasking doesn't make you more productive. It makes you less productive, more stressed, and more prone to mistakes. Your brain can only focus on one complex task at a time. When you try to do multiple things simultaneously, you're actually rapidly switching between tasks, which creates mental fatigue and reduces the quality of your work. Instead, work in focused time blocks. Choose one task, eliminate all distractions, and work on that task for a specific period of time. This could be 25 minutes using the Pomodoro technique, or it could be longer blocks of 90 minutes to 2 hours. The specific duration matters less than the singular focus and the elimination of interruptions. During these focus blocks, turn off notifications, close unnecessary browser tabs, put your phone in another room, and work in an environment that supports deep concentration. Tell colleagues and family members not to interrupt you during these times unless there's an actual emergency. Between focus blocks, take strategic breaks that restore your energy instead of depleting it. Instead of checking social media or reading news, go for a walk, do some stretching, practice deep breathing, or have a healthy snack. These activities restore your mental resources and prepare you for the next focus block. Create friction for bad habits and remove friction for good habits. If you want to eat healthier, prep your meals in advance and keep junk food out of your house. If you want to exercise more, lay out your workout clothes the night before and remove any obstacles that might prevent you from exercising. If you want to read more, keep books visible and accessible and keep your phone in a different room. Conversely, if you want to reduce time-wasting activities, create barriers that make them less convenient. Log out of social media apps so you have to consciously log back in. Use website blockers during work hours. Keep the TV remote in a different room. Cancel subscriptions to services that don't add value to your life. Your environment is more powerful than your willpower. Instead of trying to resist temptation through sheer force of will, design your environment so that good choices are easier and bad choices are harder. This extends to your social environment as well. Surround yourself with people who share your values and support your goals. Minimize time with people who are consistently negative, make poor choices, or try to discourage your growth. This isn't about being elitist or judgmental. It's about recognizing that you become like the people you spend the most time with. Jim Rohn famously said that you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. If you want to be more disciplined, spend time with disciplined people. If you want to be more successful, study successful people and learn from their habits and mindsets. If you want to be healthier, surround yourself with people who prioritize health and fitness. End each day with reflection and preparation for the next day. Spend 10 to 15 minutes reviewing what went well, what could be improved, and what you learned. This isn't about judging yourself harshly or dwelling on mistakes. It's about continuous improvement and conscious learning. Then prepare for the next day by reviewing your priorities, planning your schedule, and setting out anything you'll need. This evening preparation makes your morning routine easier and more effective. It also signals to your subconscious mind that you're serious about your goals and committed to consistent progress. Weekly reviews are just as important as daily reviews. Every week, take time to assess your progress toward your longer-term goals. Are you moving in the right direction? What's working well? What needs to be adjusted? What new habits do you need to develop? What old habits do you need to eliminate? Use this weekly review to plan the upcoming week in detail. Schedule time for your most important priorities. Identify potential obstacles and plan how you'll handle them. Prepare for difficult decisions by thinking through your options in advance. But here's what's crucial. You must plan for failure and setbacks. Discipline is not about perfection. It's about consistency over time. You will have bad days. You will make mistakes. You will face unexpected challenges. You will sometimes lack motivation. This is normal and expected. The difference between people who build lasting discipline and people who give up after a few weeks is how they handle setbacks. Successful people have a reset protocol that gets them back on track quickly. Unsuccessful people treat any deviation from their plan as complete failure and use it as an excuse to quit entirely. When you have a setback, follow this 3-step reset protocol. First, acknowledge what happened without judgment or self-attack. Don't make excuses, but don't beat yourself up either. Simply recognize that you deviated from your plan and that it's time to get back on track. Second, identify what you can learn from the setback. Was it caused by unrealistic expectations, poor planning, lack of preparation, external circumstances beyond your control, emotional triggers? The more you understand about what caused the setback, the better you can prevent similar ones in the future. Third, recommit to your system and take immediate action to get back on track. Don't wait until Monday to restart. Don't wait until next month to begin again. Take action today, even if it's small. Do one push-up. Read one page. Work for 10 minutes on your most important project. The key is to re-establish momentum immediately. Remember, discipline is not about being perfect. It's about returning to your path faster each time you deviate from it. It's about making course corrections quickly instead of letting small problems become big problems. It's about treating setbacks as data points that help you improve your system, not as evidence that you're incapable of change. Now I want to challenge you to implement what you've learned through a 30-day self-discipline challenge. For the next 30 days, commit to a simple but consistent daily routine that incorporates the 3 pillars of discipline we've discussed. For the discipline of the body, choose one physical habit you'll do every single day for 30 days. This could be a 20-minute walk, 10 push-ups, 5 minutes of stretching, drinking 8 glasses of water, or going to bed at the same time every night. Make it simple enough that you can do it even on your worst days. For the discipline of the mind, choose one mental habit you'll practice daily. This could be 10 minutes of reading, 5 minutes of meditation, writing in a journal, or working on your most important project for a specific amount of time each day. Again, make it simple and achievable. For the discipline of the soul, choose one character-building habit you'll practice daily. This could be expressing gratitude, performing an act of kindness, keeping a promise to yourself, or reflecting on your values and how well you're living up to them. Track your consistency every day. Don't worry about perfection, but aim for at least 80% consistency over the 30 days. That means you can have bad days, but you get back on track quickly. At the end of 30 days, reflect on what you've learned about yourself. How did consistent daily action change your confidence? How did it affect your energy levels? How did it impact your relationships? How did it influence your ability to handle stress and challenges? Then use that success as a foundation for adding more disciplined habits to your life. Remember, discipline is like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it becomes. The more consistently you make good choices, the easier good choices become. This is not just about building better habits. This is about becoming a different kind of person. Someone who keeps promises to themselves. Someone who can be trusted to follow through. Someone who chooses long-term benefits over short-term comfort. Someone who other people look to for leadership and inspiration. Imagine your life 12 months from now if you just mastered yourself. Picture waking up every day with abundant energy because you've prioritized sleep and nutrition. Imagine having deep focus for hours at a time because you've trained your attention and eliminated distractions. Envision the confidence that comes from knowing you can trust yourself to do what you say you'll do. Think about the relationships you'll build when people know you're reliable and principled. Consider the opportunities that will come to you when you have a reputation for excellence and integrity. Visualize the goals you'll achieve when you can sustain effort over long periods of time instead of giving up when things get difficult. This isn't fantasy. This is the predictable result of consistent discipline applied over time. Every person who has achieved lasting success in any field has mastered the fundamentals we've discussed. Physical discipline to maintain energy and health. Mental discipline to focus on what matters and manage emotions effectively. And character discipline to build trust and maintain integrity. But it all starts with a decision. Not a wish or a hope or a someday plan. A decision. A commitment. A non-negotiable agreement with yourself that you will do what it takes to become the person you're capable of becoming. The time for excuses is over. The time for waiting for perfect conditions is over. The time for someday thinking is over. Today is the day you take control of your life. Today is the day you stop being a passenger and become the driver. Today is the day you stop letting circumstances control you and start controlling your circumstances. You already know what you need to do. The question is, will you do it? Will you choose the temporary discomfort of discipline or the permanent pain of regret? Will you invest in your future self or continue borrowing against it? Will you build a life you respect or settle for a life you tolerate? The choice is yours. It's always been yours, and it always will be yours. But choice without action is just a wish. Action without consistency is just an event. Consistency without growth is just routine. What separates legends from everyone else is that they make the right choice, take consistent action, and continuously grow for years and decades, not just days and weeks. Your legendary life is waiting. It's waiting on the other side of discipline. It's waiting on the other side of the excuses you've been making. It's waiting on the other side of the comfort zone you've been hiding in. Stop waiting for permission. Stop waiting for motivation. Stop waiting for perfect conditions. Start today. Start now. Start with one small, simple action that moves you toward the person you want to become. Because discipline isn't just about what you achieve. It's about who you become in the process of achieving it. And who you become is infinitely more valuable than what you get. The person you could be is calling you. They're showing you what's possible when you stop making excuses and start making progress. They're demonstrating what life looks like when you master yourself instead of being mastered by your impulses. That person is not a fantasy. They're a possibility. They're your possibility. And the bridge between who you are now and who you could become is discipline. Cross that bridge. Become that person. Live that life. The world needs what you have to offer. But first, you need to become someone capable of offering it. Discipline is destiny. Your discipline is your destiny. Choose wisely. Act consistently. Become legendary. The time is now. The person is you. The choice is made. Now go make it happen.